Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Retro Kid, where we review, repair, and talk about retro tech. Today, we're going to be looking at this JVC boombox that is also kind of a component system that comes in this massive metal case. So let's get into it. So here it is, this JVC boombox. It's a PC-5, and yeah, I guess I'll open up this big metal case. So this case was a factory option from JVC. You know, it was one of those optional accessories that you could order, and it's super heavy, kind of rare. You can see it even has these keys on top that unlock these latches. And I still have both the keys, which is cool. But anyways, the case has this handle, and it has latches on the side, which I'll show. And yeah, and it also has a ton of foam inside, you know, to keep everything nice and cushioned. And all that foam was in great condition, considering that this unit is from 1981. So here, I'll show you the unit. So here it is, the JVC PC-5. It is technically a boombox because it accepts batteries, but it takes a ton of batteries. It actually takes 8 D-cell batteries to power it, and I'm gonna guess that doesn't last too long either. Fun fact, when I was testing this out, since I'm at my grandparents' house in Hawaii, when I was testing this out, the lights actually flickered because I had plugged it into the wall, and it drew so much power that the lights flickered. So, you know, it draws a lot of power, and that's why it needs 8 D-cells. But here it is. So you have these speakers on the side. It comes with both of these JVC speakers, and like I said before, it's a component system that kind of doubles as a boombox. So all these units come apart, and they're just in the case, and then also connected by brackets. And I'll take off the case in a little bit in this video so that I can show you guys around when it's not in the case. And then I'll show you yeah, I'll show you everything else, like the back and stuff, also later. So anyways, on the top we have the radio tuner, which is the PC-T5. This one it actually has it has like a hole that someone had cut into the top of it, and I'll show you that once I take it out of the case. But yeah, super interesting. But you know, this wheel, there's actually an LED, so I can turn it on. You can see there's an LED inside the tuner, and then I think it turns green when you have when you tune into a station that's coming in super clearly. So I'll turn that off for now. And then below that you have the receiver. It has this kind of clicky volume slider. I really don't like it because the clicks they make it kind of hard to dial in the volume the way you would want it, because, you know, let's say one click would be too loud and one would be too quiet, and you want it in the middle, but you can't really have that because it's super clicky. You can hear it. So yeah, the volume slider is kind of annoying, but other than that, you have a little bit of yellowing because the silver paint on the plastic wore off, and there isn't really anything I could do about it. You know, if I got like silver nail polish or something, that wouldn't match the color completely, so I'm just gonna leave it like that, and it kind of adds to the patina, which is cool. So also on the receiver we have you can see it says stereo integrated amplifier, and since all these again are component you know, parts, they all say JVC separately on them because it's not all one unit. So you can open up this little door here. You have bass controls, treble, and then this switch, which I thought was kind of interesting. It just says loudness, and you can click it. It doesn't really do anything. I guess it just makes it louder by a little bit. I don't know. It's kind of weird though. And then you also have balance. So there's a loudness switch, clicks in and out. And then over here you have your source. So you have phono, tuner, and aux. And for the phono input, since of course there's no record player here, but I think you could option in a linear tracking record player that would, I think, attach to the top of this when it's not in the case. But that didn't come with mine, and it looks pretty big. It looks like it maybe won't fit with everything else, but you know, it kind of has the same aesthetic with the silver and the blue, and it was part of this system. So moving below that, we have the tape deck, which is 2-motor, and it also has, what I thought interesting about the tape deck was it has this little window. Like, let's say I turn it on. There's no tape in there right now, but if I press play, oh, hold on, gotta turn this on. But if I press play, you can see that you can actually, there's a little window down there where you can see the heads. And I thought that was interesting because, you know, of course there's also a window up here where you can see the tape when it's in there. But I thought that was cool. You can just see the heads. And then here's the eject lever. It's the only actual switch or lever here other than the 2 power switches. And yeah, so the tape deck has its own power switch, and then the receiver has, it shares one with the radio tuner. But yeah, the tape deck has a super smooth opening door, and it can play either normal metal or chrome tapes. And there's a little toggle here. It also has JVC's version of Dolby noise reduction, and it's called ARNS, I think. Yeah, it's called, so they have ARNS and Super ARNS. I just like to call it ARMS because it's shorter. So yeah, or no, it's ANRS. Oh yeah, I guess it's made by Dolby too, so it's not really their version, it's just kind of rebranded Dolby, I think. I don't know, you guys can let me know in the comments. But you know, you can toggle that, and then you also have another toggle. What is that? Input balance. So you know, whatever you're recording onto, you can change the balance of that. And these doors, this one and then also the one on the receiver, they have little magnets on them that kind of click it into place, which is nice. And then anyways, here's the one piano key switch that ejects it, and you can see it's super smooth when the door opens. And then of course when you put it back, you have just the right amount of resistance, and it feels super fancy and nice. And yeah, over here on the door you can see it says 2-motor logic control. It's blue again to match the aesthetic of everything else. It has the metal thing to show that I can play metal tapes. Or yeah, it's down there. And then of course the name of the cassette deck. And rather than having the full name of everything, all it says is PC on it. You can see PC, PC, PC. And that's just, you know, it all goes in one system, but it says the names on the back of them. And then, yeah, you have more toggles. These are all soft touch. So you have scan, record, pause, record mute, review, which is rewind, play, stop, and then fast forward. Then you have input level for your input, which is here. This is not clicky like the volume here. So this one's nice and smooth, it slides. And then, yeah, so you can see what it looks like when I put a tape in. Make sure the volume's all the way down so I don't get copyright strikes. But what's interesting about this, it's not fully working, so sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. But basically what it does is, when you put the tape in, and then make sure it's selected to the right one, normal, and then I'll just turn off the noise reduction for now. But when you put the tape in, it'll go for a second, and then it'll just basically, the heads will go down, and you know, it'll just stop. Like, it's not like the tape resisting or anything, it's definitely the machine, because, you know, the heads go down and stuff, so it's like, yeah, it's basically as if you would press the stop button, but you know, you didn't. So, there's a few possibilities of what that might be. I was reading online that it could be like a sensor that would detect if the tape was broken or being tangled around the capstan, and that it's too sensitive, and that could be it, but I'm not sure, so I'll have to do a little more research about this particular unit. But yeah, we can press play and maybe it'll do the thing, maybe it won't, because it's you can see it also has these LED VU meters here. So, you know, it's here, and there's also a tape counter, and this, you know, it seems like it's not stopping, which is interesting because usually it does. So, you guys on YouTube, you get the special treatment. So, anyways, here's this LED VU meter. As you can see, it's playing. So, it has the red one in the middle. This is battery. And it looks like 2 green ones, and then, or 4 green ones, and then 6 red ones. And, yeah, we can just stop that. and then just tape out, you know. But then, yeah, so that's basically the whole unit. I should also mention that this front door right here, you can see the blue foam. This is super soft, even though it's been here since 1981. And this door also, you can slide it off. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know. It would slide off, but I guess it doesn't want to. There. So here's the door. You know, it's cool. It just says JVC. And then you could just carry it around without the door if you wanted, and that would be cool. But of course, it has a handle, and then the latches you can just close. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It says here on the side, made in Japan, which is cool. And then there's this little latches on the side. I'm not sure what this logo is. Maybe it's JVC. Maybe it's just whoever made the case on this little latch on the side here. But you can also see that since this is from Hawaii, since we just bought this on Craigslist here, that it is kind of corroded. But this metal case here actually pretty much saved it. Because, you know, I was looking at, for example, also on Craigslist, there was a Nakamichi 1000 for sale. It was, since of course it didn't have a big metal case around it, like this boombox did, it was all corroded, like all the switches. Like if you know what a Nakamichi 1000 looked like, you know there's a ton of metal on it, especially on the back too. And all of that was just super corroded. And I was gonna pick that one up, but you know, of course it's $900, and for something that's super corroded, you know, I didn't really think that was worth it. But yeah, so that's why I went with this one, because it's basically the only other thing on Craigslist that was cool. But yeah, I was looking for like a good week at this one until I decided to get it. And then yeah, so these speakers, these are the main, you know, the main speakers. I think they're the only speaker cones. And then these are, they look like tweeters, but they're not. They're fake. They're just fake tweeters. And then the, if you wanted tweeters, I was reading this article on a website. I'll link it in the description. But if you wanted tweeters, you would have had to get the next model up, because of course this is in the top of the line. I think it was the PC-5 or maybe the 7.5. Or not 5, sorry, just the PC-7, I think it was, or PC-6. Yeah, PC-6. Okay, so yeah, that's that. Yeah, so cool, super cool. You can record through it, do all that stuff, and sounds pretty good. Even though, of course, it doesn't have tweeters and it's super compact, but it still sounds really good. So let's rotate it, and then we can look at the back. Alright, so now that we have this thing turned around, we can check out the back. So the latches on the back are in a different spot than the latches on the front. They're on the sides instead of the top, so we can undo these side latches. Let me go around to the other side to get the other one. But yeah, so this back cover doesn't come off, understandably, because if you wouldn't really need this access. And you can see there's just an abundance of cables. Because like I said before, these are all separate units, so they're not all connected internally. They're all connected with these cables. So I believe these weird looking ones right here, these are the power to all the units. The speaker cables, of course, because these are the speakers, they're separate. And you can kind of see the frame here. When I take it out of this case, you can see it better, but here's the back, you know. And then, yeah, you have your inputs. This is the receiver in the middle here, so you can see all the cables going in. And then the tape deck on the bottom, so you can see the 4 for playback and recording, and then the radio, of course, just the 2 for the playback, and then everything just goes into the receiver, and then the speakers come out. But, you know, you probably know how that works already, so I won't explain it much. The cool thing about this one is that it actually still had these little plastic inserts that tell you how to wire everything. I imagine some people from the factory would just, you know, just like as soon as they got it, just throw these out. But it's cool that these are still here. And like I said before, because this boombox was in this case its whole life, it was missing. There's this little plastic cover, not these ones, but like a hard plastic cover that would cover all these cables. But since again it was in this case for his whole life, it of course it didn't have that because it wouldn't fit, and you don't need it because you have this other big cover. And this cover too, because you can see on the top there are these antennas here that I'll show you, but you know, those are just the regular antennas. There's 2 of them, and then they pop out and then telescope out. But since you can't do that while it's in the case actually has its own built-in antennas. So that's the wire you're seeing here. You see how it goes into this foam here. And like I said before, this foam is in great condition. You know, it's not dissolving or anything. Like if I rub it, there's nothing on my fingers. So that's good. And then, yeah, this is a super cool little mini hi-fi boombox, whatever you want to call it. So if I take off this plastic again, hold on. There, you can see here's the battery cover. So this is where those 8 D cells go. So if I take this off, you can see in here. And then there's 2 of these little plastic tubes, and I don't know if you can see, but it says 1.5 volts, and then shows how many batteries you're supposed to put in there. And then it also has this little flap. I don't know how well you can see through these, but I'll try to move them. Yeah, it also has this little flap here. Of course, when you want to take out the batteries, you just pull it. And then, yeah, it looks like the battery contacts are barely used because, of course, it would basically just go through those, and it's not the most cost-effective way to use this boombox, so I imagine not a lot of people ever used it like that. And, yeah. Yeah, like people, since this case, of course, doesn't allow you to run the power cord through like normally, someone actually engraved like a notch on the case so that they can run the power cord through while this door was closed, so that you could still carry it around but then also plug it into something. So that's cool. And then of course there's that one extra input on the receiver for the linear tracking turntable that would have been an option that you could order with this. But yeah, I'm gonna put this battery cover back on, and then we can take it out of the case, and I'll show you all the little features, because again, like I said before, this thing wasn't really out of the case for most of its life. So oh, hold on, I forgot to put this tube back. Now I can put the door back. So, anyways, I was reading about more accessories, and there's actually a remote you can get for this. You know, of course, it's a wired remote, but it would still be pretty cool to control this from a remote. I guess anything. That's why people, like, for example, I've seen people who mod their Nakamichi RX 202s to accept remotes, because, of course, in the factory, the 202s didn't have remotes. But that's a little off topic. So, yeah, we can try to slide these out. So I found that when I'm sliding this out of the case, I like to unplug the speakers here, and then, you know, of course you just have the speaker cable, and they actually just push out the back. They're not screwed in or anything. You just have to push it with a little bit of force, and then they'll just slide out the back. So you can see here's the speaker, and then I'll just do the same process for everything else, including the main unit, and I'll see you guys when that's all done. Alright, so now that we have it out of the case, you guys can look at it in more detail. So the case adds a lot of weight. I'd say that's at least 15 pounds of just the case. So yeah, because with the case, you know, it's 40 pounds, so that's super heavy. I have no idea how I'm gonna get this back home on the airplane, if we do, but anyways, you have these twin antennas that, of course, since this thing was pretty much always in the case, they've basically never been used. They're super tight still. They still have these little plastic sleeves here. And then, of course, there's no corrosion or rust or anything like most things from 1981 in the Hawaiian Islands, because the climate and the weather is very harsh here. So, yeah. But anyways, you can see on these speakers. Oh, I put them on the wrong way. So this is the right one. That's the left one. But you can see if I unhook it again. This is, you see it has a little bracket on it right there on the side, and that actually latches into this. So this would screw onto this and then latch onto here on the side of the boombox, where it would just latch on and stick there. But since, again, this thing was in the case for its whole life, it's missing things like the handle and the screws for the speakers because it never really needed those. But I was doing a little research about this particular boombox, and it actually came with like this accessory pack that came with the handle, the screws, the mounts, basically all the stuff you needed to like make it into a boombox, rather than like just a component system with everything loose. But there's still like a chassis holding everything together here. Like this, there's like it's maybe ½ an inch thick. But all these, again, like I said before, all of these are different, and they can all detach. And there's actually some photo with the Harlem Globetrotters where they basically detached everything and then spread it out. And I'll insert that on video. But yeah, there it is out of the case, and yeah. So here's the hole on the top of the tuner. I'm not sure what it was, but you can see here there's the wheel that actually moves the little tuner thing. But you can see I'm moving it just fine with this wheel on the outside, and nothing's happening. Like, I mean, of course something's happening, so it works fine. So I have no idea why they would want to cut a hole in the top of it to change the radio, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So yeah, I guess the previous owner was I don't know. And another interesting thing is that these speakers, you can see almost yellowed, and but like the main unit with the tuner and everything, that is not yellowed at all. So I was thinking maybe these speakers weren't the original speakers that came with the system, because the colors are not matching. Like, of course, they're the right speakers for the right system. Like, they're both for the PC-5 system. But I'm going to guess they didn't come from the factory the same, unless they had this in the case and these were sitting somewhere else, of course, with the longer speaker cables, and then you could just have this as a little mini hi-fi. So, I don't know, those are just my thoughts, and yeah, this has been the JVC PC-5 boombox component system, whatever you want to call it. And for the Retro Kid, I'm the Retro Kid. Thank you for watching.